Ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you something, brother.
It's Talk Wrestling Live with Felix The Cat Katlovski
and Gemini Joe.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
We heard rumbling. We heard rumors. Homicide. Conan. 5150 at LAX.
Listen live on Mondays at 4 p.m. on NorthCoastUnderground.com.
And follow us on Twitter at TWL 24/7.
I'm in no mood for your wives crack. Let's get it on.
Hey Wrestle fans, we are back. This is Felix The Cat Katlovski, and you're listening to Talk Wrestling Live on NorthCoastUnderground.com, where the underground starts with you. And we were just talking about WWE. We just had the WWE Mount Rushmore report. We were talking about NXT TakeOver Phoenix, and we were also talking about the Royal Rumble. So if you missed that, you can check that out on the podcast when that comes out. And Gemini Joe, he's usually here to cover the WWE product, but he's not here this week. He will be with us next week. And we're about to get things underway with the Fear After Dark report, where we recap everything that happened at Impact Wrestling from the previous week. So this week we'll be talking about what happened on January 18th on the Pursuit channel and Twitch. And here is the Fear After Dark report. Are you scared? It's time for Fear After Dark.
Thought this was fun and games.
Fear is a funny thing.
El celo, miedo.
Fear was meant for the art of survival. I am the new beginning.
Because we are for Ohio. By Ohio. Because we are Ohio versus everything.
I'm better than every single one in that locker room. Tessa Blanchard is undeniable.
I'm not a man. I'm a machine.
So opening up, we had KM taking on Caleb Conley, and Fallah Bahh, he was out to support KM in this match. They are tag team partners, so it was no surprise that Fallah Bahh would be out there. Now, this match, it didn't go as expected because you had Brian Cage doing only who knows what backstage. He was attacking people, and Cage was looking for Johnny Impact. At some point, somebody, I don't know if it was a prank or something, but somebody told him that Johnny Impact was in the ring, and he wasn't. So when Cage actually made it to the ring, he was like a bull. I mean, he attacked everybody in sight. He attacked KM, he attacked Fallah Bahh, and even Caleb Conley. We even saw Brian Cage, he F5'd KM on that ramp, and Cage, he even gave the drill claw to the referee. So the ref didn't ask for that. I mean, he certainly didn't deserve it, but he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time because you had Brian Cage, someone says Johnny Impact's over there. Brian Cage is pissed. He's trying to find him, and he's nowhere in sight, so he just attacks everybody. So there was no winner in that match between KM and Caleb Conley because of what happened with Brian Cage. Now, Brian Cage, he did get on the microphone, and he said he was promised a title shot, the very next title shot at the Impact World Championship. So Brian Cage said he would get a closer look at the Impact World title when Johnny Impact faces Killer Kross on the next episode of Impact, which will be this week in Mexico City, Mexico. And that's when Johnny Impact came out, and you had Moose and Killer Kross. They got involved, and they attacked Johnny Impact. And that's when Brian Cage made the save. He tried to save Johnny Impact, but Moose still managed to spear Johnny Impact. Now, Brian Cage did tell Moose to stay out of his business, and he challenged Moose to a match later in the night. Now, he didn't want Moose's help against Johnny Impact, and I guess that's kind of how this match came to be. In the next match, we had Ethan Page. He was taking on Eddie Edwards, this crazy individual Eddie Edwards. He's got this kendo stick named Kenny. He talks to it, and this guy, he's gone from a weird place in his career. He was a tag team champion, I believe, or he was part of a successful tag team with the American Wolves that was with Davey Richards. And later, Eddie Edwards, he would become the world champion on his own. And then he started going crazy, and his wife kicked him out of the house. He got committed by his own wife to Shady Acres, this mental house. He was given some inspiration by Raven. Raven told him, "You're not crazy, you're not going far enough," and he just convinced him to get even crazier. So Eli Drake, he was out during this match. between Ethan Page and Eddie Edwards, and he just kept on talking about this. Where has this man gone in his career over the past year in 2018? Like I said, he was the world champion at some point, and then he just lost it all, and he just went crazy. So where has this hardcore work ethic gone for him? Now, Eddie Edwards, he would go on to lose this match against Ethan Page. He just got carried away because he kept on frantically hitting Ethan Page with that kendo stick, Kenny, he calls it. And in the end, Eli Drake, he brought up how Eddie Edwards, like I said, he went from being the Impact World Champion to just going crazy and being kicked out of his own house by his wife, being committed at Shady Anchors, like I told you. Now he's like a hardcore loser, just like Tommy Dreamer. So Eli Drake, he wants to face that old Eddie Edwards. He wants to bring that Eddie Edwards back because he's encouraging him to throw away that kendo stick Kenny. That's not getting him anywhere. He wants him to be that champion, that fighting champion like he used to be. I mean, Ethan Page, he won that match because, like I said, Eddie Edwards went crazy with that kendo stick. He got that disqualification, so Ethan Page got the victory. And in the next match, we saw Jordan Grace. She took on Allie. Now, Su Yung and Kiera Hogan, they got involved in this match. Su Yung, she tried to help out Allie, and Kiera Hogan, she tried to help out Jordan Grace. And in the end, Grace, she got the win with the victory over Allie. So your winner, Jordan Grace. But what happened afterwards, it was kind of surprising. Well, not so much. I mean, we've seen Rosemary in the past. Just as Jordan Grace and Kiera Hogan, they were celebrating that victory, you had Rosemary show up, and Allie, she backed away finally. Now, Rosemary gave Allie one final chance to join the Shadows, so we'll see if she considers joining that and leaving the darkness, because we've seen Allie, she's changed. She's changed her persona, her look, just everything about her has changed, her behavior, her body language. She's not the same Allie. It seems like Su Young's making decisions for her now, and I guess we'll see if Allie comes back to her senses, if there's even a way out of this. So I don't know what's going on for Allie's future, but we'll see. We'll have to tune into Impact later this week. So Scarlett Bordeaux, she's been having a talent search contest, and we're going to finally see what happened as a result of that. If you didn't join us on Impact Wrestling last week, what happened was Scarlett Bordeaux, she finally came out and decided that winner for her talent search, and she's decided on who to represent. So she announced herself as the winner, and she also announced that she's going to have an in-ring debut at Impact. Now, you might be kind of wondering what's going on here. I mean, she had this talent search. She encouraged all the fans and all these wrestlers to send her videos. Everybody's excited, like wondering who she's going to represent. Is she going to represent them? Is Scarlett Bordeaux going to represent all these different fans that are sending in those videos and all these wrestlers? Nobody knows. And then she just bursts their bubble and says, I'm the winner. Not me, but Scarlett Bordeaux. She says she's bringing sexy back, and, she tells everybody to shut up. They're talking to a 10, not a 5. And Scarlett Bordeaux, we now know that she's the person who is the winner of her own talent search. I don't even know what the point of this was. I mean, I guess it was to kind of stay relevant. And later we had Moose taking on Brian Cage. We saw the build up to this because Moose did get involved. He did attack Johnny Impact, and Brian Cage, he didn't want him getting into his business. So that's how this match came to be. Now, in the end, we had Brian Cage winning this match with the drill claw over Moose. And we had Taya. She gave us an update on her condition after Killer Cross threw her into the fans a few weeks ago. She said that she's willing to face Tessa Blanchard again in Mexico, even after Tessa lost that Knockouts Championship at Homecoming. Now, just when Tessa flipped out backstage and attacked a backstage worker, she also attacked Gail Kim once again, and this caused Scott D'Amore to suspend Tessa Blanchard, so maybe we won't see her in a match against Taya in Mexico. And then we had Trey Miguel from the Rascals. We saw him and his buddies, the Rascals. They came out and they tried to support him, but they quickly left. They didn't really stick around for the match. He was taking on Rich Swann in a non-title match, and in the end, it was Rich Swann who came out with the victory. Then we saw OVE, Ohio versus Everything. They came out and they wanted Rich Swann to join Ohio versus Everything, OVE. They threw him an OVE shirt, and Swann just stood there thinking about it. Do I join OVE or do I throw this shirt away? What do I do? But then, just before he can finish deciding on what he was going to do, LAX showed up, so he left. And we had LAX taking on OVE. Now, we would have the winners of that match be LAX, but after that match, we saw LAX backstage, and they were with the Lucha Bros, and they were with Conan. You know, you had a lot of influence with Conan over both of these teams. He always said, I don't want things to get personal between you guys. We've seen dream matches before with wrestlers where they have that match and they never talk to each other again. But LAX and the Lucha Bros, they were able to keep things professional in their match at Homecoming. But things took a turn for the worse after this victory with LAX over OVE. I guess LAX, they just let ego get to their heads. And you had Ortiz, he was mouthing off to the Lucha Bros when the Lucha Bros were just trying to send their congratulations to LAX. He said, hey, if you ever want another whooping, just let us know. And Conan got really angry about that as the show ended. I mean, like I said, Conan's this guy who had a lot of influence over both these teams, and he didn't want these teams to go at it like this with all this animosity with each other. I mean, there really was no animosity until Ortiz had to say this. I guess he wanted to up the ante a little bit with bragging. I mean, it was really uncalled for. Conan didn't want this, I'll tell you that. So that's pretty much how the show ended for Impact Wrestling on January 18th if you watched on the Pursue channel or if you watched for free on Twitch. I really think that they should be airing Impact Wrestling on Twitch as an archive as well. A lot of my friends, they asked me, I missed Impact Wrestling. It airs at 10 o'clock, not only on the Pursue Network, but also on Twitch. There needs to be an archive because not everybody can stay up that late. I know if you have the Pursue channel, it's in your own freedom. You can DVR it, but Twitch, not so much. You got to think about how you're going to watch it because it airs at 10 o'clock. If you miss it, you got to hope they're going to archive it, but they didn't. I always thought, maybe by Wednesday night they'll put it up as an archive, but they didn't do that. Impact Wrestling, they didn't put it up on Twitch as an archive. You have to catch it right when it starts at 10 o'clock, and if you miss it, you miss it. You have to turn to those illegal streams that Impact Wrestling doesn't want you to do. And it would be really smart for Impact Wrestling to have a video on-demand service which archives this kind of stuff because, you could wait. But you can't because they don't archive this stuff. In the past, they would. If you have DVR, that's your best option, but you have to have the Pursue channel, and that costs money. If you're not so lucky, if you don't want to shell out that money, the only way you can do is watch it on Twitch. But again, they're not archiving it. Usually, they'll archive all their videos except for Impact Wrestling when it airs on Twitch and the Pursue Network. So Impact Wrestling, Anthem Sports, you got to do something. You got to get your fans to be able to catch this programming because you got a lot of good things happening here. But if people aren't able to catch it at 10 o'clock, if they don't have the Pursue channel, what do? Are you going to put it on Pluto TV, on the app over there? Because I know you guys have a free channel on there. I know you guys have the GWN network. If you want fans ordering that, subscribing for $7.99 a month, should you put it on there and let the fans catch up on what they missed, binge watch some Impact Wrestling on there? What are you going to do? Because you have a lot of good content, but if fans can't check it out at 10 o'clock, if fans can't watch it on Twitch because it's not archived, what are they going to do? You got to give them some options. So I would consider putting up an archive, letting the fans watch. Still put out a delay if you have to. At the latest, put it on Wednesday the following week so they can already be ready for that Impact Wrestling. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on what I think Impact Wrestling should do to get their viewership up. They've been doing a great job already. A lot of their subscribers have been going up, the subscriber count for Impact on Twitch. So they're already doing a good job. I'm just picking up on some comments on what some fans have to say because they're missing Impact Wrestling every week and there needs to be a way that they can catch up on that. So the best way, like I said, archive it. And one thing that I didn't touch up on was Women of Wrestling. They just premiered their latest episode last week on the Access TV network. Women of Wrestling, it was a promotion, it was around in the early 2000s, and they never really had national TV clearance, and now they do. So now they have a big opportunity to showcase what they can do on a national scale. It's an all-women's wrestling promotion. David McLean is behind it. He was part of Glow in the 80s, and he made Women of Wrestling in the early 2000s, and now he's bringing it back. The Lakers president, Jenny Buss, she's behind Women of Wrestling, and she's helping bringing it back as well. Now, it was their first episode, and we saw some beef between the WOW Women of Wrestling World Champion Santana Garrett and Tessa Blanchard. It was kind of like Tessa Blanchard, she thought she earned a shot at the WoW World Championship just like that, just because of who her legacy is, who her father is, who her family is. I think she's a third-generation wrestler. And then you have Santana Garrett. I think her father might have been a wrestler as well, but it wasn't the same kind of accolades that Tessa Blanchard's legacy has. Now, Santana Garrett, she is the WoW World Champion. She's a fighting champion. She's going to be defending it against whoever goes up in her way. But Tessa Blanchard, she just thought, hey, I'm already here. I'm in Impact Wrestling, and I deserve everything else, even though I didn't earn it in WoW. And that's just kind of the kind of feel that I got from the show. And Dave McClain, he wasn't having any of this, and he pretty much told Tessa Blanchard to, step and get back in line. So then we had The Beast. She was in the first match, and she defeated Steffi Slays. We also had Abilene Maverick. I believe that's the governor's daughter, and she defeated Fire. Now, that's Kiera Hogan. I was surprised to see Kiera Hogan lose that match because she is on Impact Wrestling, but just like we learned from Tessa Blanchard, you have to earn your stripes here at WoW Women of Wrestling. So just because you're in Impact Wrestling doesn't mean you get a push to the top. You got to start from the very bottom. And like I said, Kiera Hogan, or as we call her, Fire in WoW, she lost against the governor's daughter, Abilene Maverick. And then we also had Eye Candy. She defeated Chloe Hertz. We saw a vignette for Siren. She's going to be debuting for WoW. And then we saw the WoW World Championship on the line where Jungle Girl, she defeated Santana Garrett in a countout. So Santana Garrett is the champion, and the match ended in a countout. And in the end, you had Tessa Blanchard. She was attacking Santana Garrett, still getting that beef with Garrett. And that's when Jungle Girl, she made the save and she started attacking Tessa because Tessa was the reason that the whole countout happened, and it cost her the championship. I mean, Jungle Girl, she could have been the champion after this match, but she wasn't because of Tessa Blanchard. If it wasn't for Tessa getting involved in that match, we could have had a different champion, but that's not what happened because Tessa Blanchard got involved. So Impact Wrestling, they suspended her because she's out of her mind. She's going crazy over here. She's, has a power trip over here, and she continues bringing that power trip over to Women of Wrestling, and they're just not going to have it. So we'll see what future holds for Tessa Blanchard at Women of Wrestling, but she's already, carrying a bad rap because, again, she's got suspended in Impact Wrestling, and here she is over here in WoW saying that she deserves this, she deserves that, but she didn't earn it. She just comes in and she thinks that she's going to get the championship, but she's got to get back in the line and prove that she deserves that. So that's Women of Wrestling. You can watch that on Access TV, so check that out. So that's been Impact Fear After Dark. We're going to be talking more about Impact Wrestling and what's to come coming up on the Lights Out Report right after this.
Ride the winds, flying far and soaring like a hawk.
Run a marathon with the endurance of a tiger.
Swim across the ocean like a dolphin.
Beast Energy X. Do you have it in you?
Buy Beast Energy X at all Waffle Max locations and unleash the beast in you.
Join the Beast Energy X fan club and get free perks. Sign up by following us on Twitter at Beast Energy X.
Follow us on Twitter at TWL 24/7.
I'm not finished with you!
And now, let's get back to the show. Hey wrestling fans, we are back. This is Felix The Cat Katlovski on Talk Wrestling Live. We were just talking about the Fear After Dark report, where we covered everything that went on the January 18th episode of Impact Wrestling on the Pursuit Network and Twitch. We also talked about the WoW Women's promotion on Access TV. And we're about to talk about Lights Out, everything to expect for the Impact Wrestling promotion on what's to come this week. So check that out. We're about to get started with Lights Out.
Hello, ladies.
Shut up, 5. A 10 is talking.
I'm surprised you're containing yourself. It's like looking at a work of art, Josh. Scarlett Bordeaux has arrived on Impact Wrestling. Oh, my God.
Hey, tell them to cover up. I will not be hot shamed.
Talk about making an impact.
Make wrestling sexy again.
Scarlett Bordeaux has arrived. And now she's leaving, and it's, oh, Lord.
Turn the lights down low, because it's time for Impact Lights Out.
So this week on Impact Wrestling, we're going to be in Mexico City, Mexico, and it's going to be airing on Friday, January 25th on the Pursuit Network and Twitch at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So you're going to want to check that out. It's free if you have Twitch, and of course, if you have a cell phone, if you have any kind of device, smart device, smartphone, smart TV, you name it, it's an app, it's the Twitch app. You should be able to watch it for free, and if you don't, it's on you. So otherwise, you can watch it on the Pursuit Network if you do pay for that channel. So like I said, all these wrestling fans, they're complaining about more access to wrestling. It's mind-boggling. If you are able to watch wrestling, if you're a wrestling fan, if you have the Twitch app, there's no excuse why you're not watching Impact Wrestling but yourself. So some of the matches that are going to be taking place on Impact Wrestling this week in Mexico City, Mexico, it's going to be Johnny Impact. He's going to be taking on Killer Kross, and Johnny Impact will be putting on his Impact World title on the line. So you're going to want to check out that. Killer Kross, he's definitely pissed off Johnny Impact because he went after his wife, Taya Valkyrie. He just threw her off the stage into the fans like she was crowd surfing. And we got a update on her from the hospital. She plans on being at Impact Wrestling this week in Mexico City, Mexico. Now, she said that she was willing to take on Tessa Blanchard again, even though Tessa Blanchard was defeated for that Knockouts Championship by Taya Valkyrie. We all saw what Tessa Blanchard did last week when she attacked backstage personnel and Gail Kim, and Scott D'Amore was not having any of that because he suspended her. So I guess she's not going to be at Impact Wrestling in Mexico City. Otherwise, she would have been taking on Taya Valkyrie when she returned. But she's not, so I wonder what Taya Valkyrie has planned in Mexico City when she returns this week, because she is the new Knockouts champion of Impact Wrestling. We're also going to see Rich Swann taking on El Hijo del Vikingo, and that's a star that we haven't really seen too much of in Impact Wrestling because he's more of a Lucha Libre star out in AAA, I believe, so we'll be able to see him in action this week. You know, a lot of special features that we get to see on Impact Wrestling when they go to another country like Mexico City, Mexico. So that's going to be interesting when Rich Swann, the current X Division champion, takes on El Hijo del Vikingo. We're also going to see the Desi Hit Squad. They're going to be in action against the Rascals this week. And those are the matches that you can enjoy this week on Impact Wrestling on the Pursuit Network and on Twitch at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So I encourage all of you to watch that because, like I said, if you know how to use the internet, you can watch Impact Wrestling because unless you're a caveman and you don't know how to use the internet, unless you don't know how to get Twitch, I would suggest you get Pursuit Network. But if you're a caveman, you probably can't even do that. So we know that Impact Wrestling, they're going to be having another show this week. You'll be able to check that out on Twitch as well. Impact Wrestling and WrestlePro are colliding for another joint show. It's going to be airing on Twitch this Saturday on January 26th at 8 p.m. So it's Impact versus WrestlePro Battle of Brooklyn. And the show will be taped on Friday, January 25th. That's when they'll be actually performing the show, and we're going to get to see it the very next day. So that's everything in Impact Lights Out. I recommend that you check that out. It's going to be Impact Wrestling versus WrestlePro Battle of Brooklyn. It's this Saturday, and it's at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Twitch app. So Twitch app, it's delivering a lot of things for Impact Wrestling, opening a lot of doors. Fans can watch it. If you didn't have access to Impact Wrestling before, now you do. And if you continue not to watch it, again, you have yourself to blame because all the action that happens on there, it's can't miss stuff. So if you are missing it, you're missing out, and it's on you. So this has been it for Impact Wrestling Lights Out. Talk Wrestling Live on North Coast Underground, where the Underground starts with you. We will be back next week, and I hope Gemini Joe joins us for next week's show, where he'll have a lot to talk about the Royal Rumble that is going to be taking place over the weekend. So Impact Wrestling, they're having their show in Mexico this week, and you're going to want to check that out. So yeah, a lot of things happening this week in wrestling. Another WOW on Access TV. We're going to have MLW on the BN Sports Network on Friday night. Impact Wrestling Friday night as well. A lot of things happening. New Japan Pro Wrestling still on Access TV. So much wrestling to watch. WWE even has 2 shows over the weekend with NXT TakeOver in Phoenix and Royal Rumble. Everybody's going to want to watch that as well. Check that out. If you're an old-time WWF fan, you're going to want to watch this just for the nostalgia effect, because you've probably been watching Royal Rumble matches since you've been a fan of wrestling. So a lot of good things happening. That was the Talk Wrestling Live report for this week. And like I said, check us out next week, where Gemini Joe will be back talking about Royal Rumble. And we'll see you next week here on Talk Wrestling Live on NorthCoastUnderground.com, where the Underground starts with you.
You've been listening to Talk Wrestling Live. Listen live on Mondays at 4 p.m. on NorthCoastUnderground.com.
And follow us on Twitter at TWL 24/7.
Goodbye and good night, bad. Rest in peace.